She did not cry when they pushed her out into the freezing dark, even when the cold hit her face like broken glass and her breath turned into white smoke in seconds, even when the heavy metal door slammed behind her and the lock clicked as if sealing her fate forever. She just stood there for a moment, then coat wrapped tightly around her trembling body, as the wind howled through the empty station like it was laughing at her, because at minus 35 degrees, people don't survive long, and they all knew it, especially him, the man who threw her out, the one who smiled while doing it, the one everyone feared, respected, and obeyed without question. He was powerful, untouchable, and cruel in a quiet way that made it even worse, and she was nothing to him, just a problem he wanted gone, a girl with no voice, no family to defend her, and no place left to go, so she turned away from that door without begging, without shouting, because something inside her refused to break in front of them, even now, even here, and she began to walk, slowly at first, her boots crunching through thick snow, her fingers already losing feeling, her breath uneven, each step heavier than the last. The world around her was silent except for the wind and the distant creak of metal, and that's when she saw it, an old abandoned train car sitting alone on a forgotten track, rusted, broken, but still standing, like it had been waiting for someone like her. And she didn't hesitate. She climbed up the icy steps, forced the stiff door open with all the strength she had left, and slipped inside, closing it behind her as quickly as possible. The darkness swallowed her at first, but then her eyes adjusted, and she saw the empty space, wooden benches cracked and worn, dust frozen into the corners. It was cold, painfully cold, but it was shelter, and for now, that was enough. She sat down slowly, pulling her knees close to her chest, wrapping her scarf tighter around her face, her body shaking uncontrollably. But still, she did not cry, because crying would waste energy. And energy meant survival, and survival was the only thing that mattered now. Hours passed, maybe more. Time lost meaning in that frozen silence. Her thoughts came and went in waves, memories of warm rooms, of voices that once cared, of the moment everything changed, the moment he decided she was no longer useful, no longer welcome, no longer human in his eyes. She remembered the way people avoided her gaze, how no one spoke up, because standing against him meant losing everything, and no one was willing to take that risk for her. She closed her eyes for a moment, just a moment, but sleep in that cold could mean death, and somewhere deep inside, a quiet voice whispered to her to stay awake, to hold on just a little longer. She shifted slightly, trying to keep blood flowing, rubbing her hands together weakly, her breath shallow, her strength fading slowly, and yet, there was still something inside her that refused to disappear, something small, fragile, but stubborn, like a flicker of light in endless darkness, a quiet hope that maybe, somehow, this was not the end, that maybe the world had not completely forgotten her. And so she waited, not expecting anything, not asking for anything, just enduring, minute by minute, breath by breath, until suddenly, a sound broke through the silence, soft at first, almost impossible to notice, but real, a knock. She froze, her heart skipping a beat. She thought it was her imagination, the cold playing tricks on her mind, but then it came again, louder this time, firm and unmistakable, a knock on the metal door. Her body tensed, fear and confusion mixing together, because no one should be here, no one even knew she was here, and for a moment, she didn't move, unsure if opening that door would save her or destroy her. The wind howled again, pushing against the walls, and the knock came a third time, slower now, almost patient, and something about that sound, about that pause between each knock, made her gather what little strength she had left. She stood up, her legs weak, each step unsteady, and moved toward the door, her hand hovering over the handle, cold metal against colder skin. She hesitated for just a second, then slowly pulled it open, and there he stood, not the man who threw her out, not someone she recognized, just an older man wrapped in thick winter clothes, snow covering his shoulders, his eyes calm but sharp, like he had seen too much in his life to be surprised by anything. He looked at her, really looked at her, not through her, not past her, but at her. And for the first time that night, she felt seen. He didn't ask questions right away, didn't rush her. He simply said, "You won't last here much longer," his voice steady, not unkind. She didn't answer. Her voice felt trapped somewhere deep inside her, so she just stood there, waiting, unsure. And then he added, "Come with me." simple words, but heavy with meaning, and still, she hesitated, because trust had been broken too many times, because every offer in her life had come with a hidden cost, and he seemed to understand that, because he didn't step closer, didn't force anything, he just waited, like he had all the time in the world, and finally, she nodded, just slightly, and stepped out into the cold again, following him without a word. They walked in silence, the snow crunching beneath their feet, until they reached a small cabin hidden among the trees, warm light glowing softly from the windows. He opened the door and let her enter first, and the warmth hit her instantly, almost painfully, like her body didn't know how to accept it anymore. She stood there, unsure what to do, while he moved calmly, placing another log into the fire, handing her a blanket, then a cup of something hot. She held it with both hands, feeling the heat slowly return to her fingers, and for a moment, just a moment, her eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them away quickly, still holding onto that quiet strength. Days passed, then weeks. She stayed in that cabin, helping where she could, speaking little, observing more. The man never asked too much, but he watched, and he understood, and slowly, piece by piece, she began to rebuild herself. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, patiently, like someone planting seeds in frozen ground, waiting for spring. And far away, the man who had thrown her out continued his life as if nothing had happened, his power growing, his influence spreading. People still feared him, still obeyed him, because no one believed he could ever fall. But time has its own way of balancing things, and one day, months later, something unexpected happened, something he never saw coming, because the quiet girl he had discarded was no longer invisible. She had learned, adapted, and found her place, not through revenge, but through resilience, through patience, through refusing to let his cruelty define her. And when the truth about his actions finally came to light, when people began to see what he really was, it wasn't loud or sudden, it was slow, steady, undeniable, like ice cracking under pressure, and one by one, the same people who once stood silent began to step away from him, his power weakening, his control slipping, until he was left with nothing but his own arrogance and the consequences he thought he would never face. And she, the girl who survived -35 in an abandoned train car, didn't stand there to watch him fall. She didn't need to, because her victory was not in his destruction, but in her survival, in her quiet strength, in the life she built after everything was taken from her. And sometimes, that kind of justice is the strongest of all, the kind that doesn't shout, doesn't seek attention, but simply exists, undeniable and complete.